Geek of the Week.
Yes, so I am Chris Brown. I'm the founder of Birmingham Gaymers and a big old geek. So by day, I work in PR and communications for a professional services company. And by night, I run Birmingham Gamers and play a lot of board games and video games as well. I think I was a bit of a late bloomer when it came to being a geek. I'd always been interested. I'd always been a video gamer when I was younger, but it's only perhaps since like late 20s, early 30s, where a little bit more disposable income, and I can embrace that a little bit more. I think one of my big gateways was Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop gaming. For anyone that's watching this, they can probably see some of the books behind me. If not, there's quite a collection behind me. So I'm actually we've got like a little den at the bottom of our garden, which is kind of my office, and I'm surrounded by minis, Warhammer, D&D, maps, all sorts of things. This is kind of like our little haven, as well as 3D printing for printing our own figures as well. So yeah, a bit of a late bloomer, but I think D&D was one of the big things that really introduced me to the geekiness, really. Probably it's a toss-up between X-Men and Dungeons and Dragons. I think X-Men is something that I grew up with, obviously the original cartoons and the early films as well. Then I massively got into the comics. I've got quite a collection at home, as well as a few games and things. It's something that kind of just opened my eyes to the comic book world, and that kind of broadened out into all manner of things, really. D&D, Wizards of the Coast, Dungeons and Dragons, all of that has had a massive impact about bringing friends together as well. So that will always hold a soft spot in my heart, and constraints on my purse strings as well. Tight grip with the spending on that front as well. Toss up between Scarlet Witch and Storm, I think. Both incredibly powerful mutants, some sensational storylines, and it's great to see some of those storylines being explored in the new X-Men 97, so Life Death, which is kind of just concluding this week. There's so many fantastic storylines and characters. It's really difficult to pick, but I am going to go with Storm and Scarlet Witch, I think. Yeah, so Birmingham Gamers started just as we were coming out of COVID pandemic and lockdown. It came about, I was chatting to a few friends who were struggling to get people back together for board games. A lot of people had lost their connections and were feeling a little bit uncomfortable and haven't got the confidence about going out and talking to people. So we set up Birmingham Gamers. The idea was initially, it was kind of just going to be like maybe 5 or 6 of us that would just regularly meet up, and then word spread around. We now have over 200 people on our Discord server, and we get around 40 people to each event, so we pack out all of our events. We host 2 events a month. One is at Cherry Reds upstairs. We've got a private room upstairs, but it's kind of like a bring your own board game. There's loads of board games that people bring, so you can kind of swap with each other and stuff. It's quite a chilled out. You don't have to play board games, and you certainly don't have to know how to play board games, because there's quite a few of us that will demonstrate and demo and show you how to do things. And then we've expanded that to weekends as well. So in the middle of the month, we meet at the Hideout in the Jewellery Quarter, which is a fantastic board game cafe, and they've got some escape rooms there. Those events are proving particularly popular at the moment, which is great to see. It's great to support local businesses as well. We have loads of regulars, but we get loads of new faces as well. And if you can come one month and not come again for a while, that's perfectly fine. It doesn't need to be a regular thing. But for us, it was all about creating those safe spaces for the LGBTQ plus community and allies to kind of get together and be themselves more than anything, without fear of judgment, whether it's your sexual identity or whether it's how geeky you really are. They're all facets of people's personalities. This one is so easy. Icewind Dale. So Icewind Dale was one of the first video games that I have had for D&D very, very early on. I think I had it on PC years and years and years ago, and then they re-released the remastered version, which I've now got on the Switch. We also did a campaign for it as well in D&D, but it's one of my favorite settings because it's the enemies are amazing. There's new trials and horrors and the elements that people have to battle with in terms of the cold, and it's more about survival as well. Yeah, Icewind Dale is one of my favorite settings. If you haven't played the Frost Maiden game or the re-released video game, I would highly recommend that as well. Oh, okay. So I think there's a couple really. One of the big ones is Titanic. It's just never really appealed to me. And when people kind of hear that, I get some shock and like, how have you not seen that? So yeah, Titanic isn't something that I've seen. Probably won't either. It's just not really my cup of tea. So, oh, I mean, a lot of snacks. Aldi do a bag of like their gummies. They're called Flick and Mix, and they're really, really good. It's like just under £2. You get a big bag of, in essence, kind of like similar to Haribo sort of thing. I will devour a bag of those, or crisps. I'm a sucker for savoury things as well. So yeah, crisps and nuts. So yeah, a lot of food gets eaten during board game evenings, that's for sure. Oh, so despite me running a board game meetup and having quite a big selection, I'm really rubbish at board games. I really am. People get really surprised. They just think that you are just going to win everything. But I think the one that I could beat you at is a game called Destinies. It's one of my all-time favorite games, board games. It's by a company called Lucky Duck Gaming, and it integrates an app on your phone or your tablet, which might put a lot of people off. But it's fantastic. It's an RPG game set in quite a dark, disturbing world, and you have to explore this map, uncover clues, defeat monsters. But each player is their own character, and they have their own mission and objective to complete. And the app tells the story for you. So, from an accessibility point of view, you really don't need to know many rules, which is fantastic because the game literally tells you what the app literally tells you what to do. Maybe that's why I'm good at it, because I don't need to read the rule book. But yeah, Destiny. So I'll be well up for playing that with you guys. Oh, right. So it biased, but I am going to say the Hideout in the Jewelry Quarter. I remember going in there for the first time to meet the guys when we were chatting about running events there, and I just loved it. I have a soft spot for the Jewelry Quarter anyway in Birmingham. I used to live there. I used to work there. I've got a lot of friends there. When you kind of go in, it's kind of like dimly lit. There's a lot of woodwork. It's all under the arches in the Jewelry Quarter as well. They've got a fantastic selection of games. It just feels really cool. So yeah, I absolutely love it in there. So would recommend. And you know what? If you don't play board games, me and some friends went and took our Warhammer sets a couple of weeks ago. We grabbed a table and played Warhammer there as well. So yeah, it's a really good spot. Yeah, so we are on Instagram and we are on Facebook, so you can search for Birmingham Gamers. If you want to pop along, we've got a Discord server as well where we talk about all manner of things, not just board games. We also talk about video games, and there's a lot of crafty people in the group as well. I mean, I crochet quite a lot, but we've got crocheters, knitters, and all manner of craft things as well. So it's not just about the board games. But if you hop onto Discord and search for Birmingham Gamers, we're at the top because I think we are the only ones. But yeah, give us a search on socials and we will be there.
Goodbye.